Hello, my Bill 4000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with another MrBallen video. I went ahead and grabbed this one because it's the spooky season, bro. It's called The Real Exorcism of Emily Rose. The horrifying case of... It cuts off. I'm not worried about it. It's fucked. Guarantee it. Because I've seen this movie, The Real Exorcism of Emily Rose. It's fucked. It's creepy as all get out. All right, I'm excited. Let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, come up with something special. Let's get a little spooky.
One of the most terrifying movies I have ever seen has got to be The Exorcism of Emily Rose. What really made it scary was that it was based on a true story.
Yep.
The true story of Anneliese Michel, who was a 23-year-old girl living in Germany in the 70s, who was apparently possessed by demons. And there's a lot of audio recordings and some pretty incredible firsthand testimony of what happened to this poor girl. There's one scene in particular that, while it is a dramatization of what happened to Anneliese, it is certainly an accurate portrayal of what did ultimately physically happen to Anneliese Michel, and it is one of the most hair-raising, horrifying scenes in movie history, in my opinion. It is just downright disturbing. And so today, I'm going to be looking at the real story that movie is based on, which is, of course, The Exorcism of Anneliese Michel. But before we...
Oh, I'm fucking excited. I know it's not a long one, and I'm fine with that.
get into today's
But I'm excited.
story, if you are a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, well then you've come to the right channel, because that is literally all I do. And I upload 3, sometimes 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, if you could, please gently eviscerate the like button and then subscribe and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right.
Yeah, most definitely. If you're not already subscribed to MrBallen, go subscribe to MrBallen. Like, he's a mover and a shaker, bruh. That's all I can say. You know something? While you're subscribing to him, go on down and subscribe to old Bill 5000. Because I react to a lot of crazy shit here. And, you know, while you're subscribing, go on over and check out the store. I got some new stuff up there. It's amazing. Looks good. Pretty full. Very proud of it.
Let's dive in. Anneliese Michel was born in 1952 in Western Germany to a fiercely religious family. Devout Catholics who believed in some of the more extreme elements of the Catholic faith. Now, one of the things that they believed in and certainly pushed on to Anneliese and her siblings was this idea that sin could not be atoned on your own. It would require other people effectively sacrificing on your behalf for you to be absolved of your sin. And so Anneliese and her siblings would be instructed by her parents to, at times in the winter, sleep on the hardwood floor in order to repent for sinners that can't repent for their sins on their own. And so she'd be laying...
Like, okay, I believe, you know, everyone should be held responsible for their own actions, you know, their sins, their good deeds, you know, whatever the case may be. I'd be damned if I'm going to be held responsible for someone else's bullshit. You know what I mean? That's fucked.
On the floor in the middle of the winter, thinking that what she was doing was saving other people from their own sin. In 1969, Anneliese...
That's just giving you back problems and hemorrhoids, bruh. You don't want hemorrhoids or back problems growing up, because once you get like 70, your butthole, you need like bungee cords to hold your butthole in place. No, but that's not sexy, bro. You know what I mean?
would have her first seizure. She was at school, she suddenly started seizing up and convulsing, and her classmates would later tell investigators and her family that it was almost like she'd entered into a trance-like state while she was having this seizure. And then as soon as the seizure had ended and she was done convulsing, she snapped out of the trance-like state. It wasn't until a year later, when Anneliese had another seizure in the middle of the night, she had this convulsion, and her parents come in and she's in this trance-like state and she's wet the bed, and then she snaps out of it and she doesn't know what happened. It wasn't until this second seizure that the family actually sought medical attention. They actually went to a neurologist. That neurologist would tell Anneliese and her family that what she was suffering from was something called temporal lobe epilepsy, where, you know, amongst a litany of horrible side effects, a few of the more significant ones are serious auditory and visual hallucinations, a loss of awareness, and intense mental state. So Anneliese was prescribed medication by this neurologist to try to combat this temporal lobe epilepsy, but it didn't seem to do anything. And in fact, her seizures and convulsions and this trance-like state she would go into during the seizures, it only persisted and intensified. And it got to a point where Anneliese and her family believed the best thing for her to do would be to go to a psychiatric hospital where the staff there was better equipped to handle what was happening to her.
Yeah.
So she checks in willingly, and they start experimenting with different drugs, and nothing seems to work. And in fact, her condition only gets worse. She starts having more seizures and more convulsions, and she starts having a regular visual hallucination, whether she's having a seizure or not. Everywhere she looked, if she looked at anybody in the face, their face would become demonic. Like it would be a demon's face that would look at her and
that's
say,
fucking
"You're going
creepy,
to rot
bro.
in hell."
I don't like that
and so
shit.
she began not being able to look at people in the face, and she would tell the nurses and doctors, like with her head down, about these demon faces she was seeing. And it was the first time she began espousing this idea that she was in fact possessed by demons. In fact, 6 demons by her count. When she passed on that information to her family that she believed she was possessed, she and her family believed that the psychiatric hospital was not...
But if I'm not mistaken, the 6 demons in her was like different demons, wasn't it? It wasn't like Legion, that's just like a shit ton of demons, right?
enough. And in fact, modern medicine...
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen this movie. I need to watch it. It's that time of year. Oh, I know what I'm doing later.
Was really not enough to handle what was happening to her. That they would need to search for help outside of medicine, and so they turned to the Catholic Church. Initially, all the clergy that Anneliese and her family approached to try to help her with the situation rejected her request, and they said, "You need to seek medical attention. This is not something we can help you with." Not knowing where to turn, her family is kind of at a loss. At the same time, Anneliese's condition really nosedives. I mean, it was already pretty bad. It gets a lot worse. She began doing 400 plus squats every day, like compulsively doing squats. Then she began going under the table periodically and not coming out for 2 days, barking like a dog the entire time without sleeping. She began going to corners of the house and finding spiders and eating them off the ground. She would scurry over to the fire.
I mean, could she have like a form of schizophrenia or something? I mean, this was back in the day, right? Like, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like a lot of things that we know what they are now, we did not know about them then, and it's like, no, you're just fucking possessed, which is, you know, sad but kind of cool all at the same time that we've came so far in like however many years to where we're like, oh no, that's just like this, and here's this medicine now. Back then, it like if you was hyper because you had ADD, ADHD, you know, like I have ADD, I have ADHD. My attention gets really hard to keep where it's supposed to be, and I forget a lot of things. Like whenever we watch Puppet History and stuff, I'll give an answer, and then he does his little theater stuff and tells you the answer. I've done forgot what my answer is because my brain's gone so many other places. And like even that back in the day, like people was like, no, like that's a form of possession. So, no, I'm just a hyper little shit, bro. Everything interests me, and then I lose it really fast.
Fireplace and pulled coal out of the fireplace and eat the coal. I mean, she was really losing it. Finally, the family located a priest named Ernst Alt who believed she was possessed and that she was not epileptic, and he was willing to petition the local bishop to allow the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism. And so that bishop...
Didn't he get in trouble for it too? Like, I'm trying to remember a movie. I've watched so many movies of people getting possessed. Like one of my favorite ones, I don't know if it's this one or not because I really cannot remember. But they had to go to court and like the dude that did the exorcism is in trouble because the girl died. I don't remember if it's this or not, but like she died, and like they're having a court hearing and stuff, and like they're trying to prove in, you know, a courtroom that the devil is real, God is real, possession happens, you know, all that. And it's like, it's one of my favorite ones. It really is.
Granted permission for a local priest, Arnold Renz, to perform an exorcism with the full endorsement of the Catholic Church. Over the next 10 months, Renz would conduct 67 exorcisms of Anneliese. And through these exorcisms, Anneliese would reveal that she was being possessed by 6 demons: Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Nero, Fleischmann, and Adolf Hitler. And so all of these voices, these demonic voices that were coming out of Anneliese, they were picked up on audio recording during the exorcisms. And in the movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, the most iconic scene in the movie is the demon scene, where they show off these voices coming out of, in the movie it's Emily Rose, but it's supposed to represent Anneliese Michel. And they do a fantastic job showing what that might have looked like during the exorcism. So take a look. The scene you just watched of Emily Rose being possessed by these demons, and think about that as you listen to the actual audio recordings of Anneliese Michel during one of her many exorcisms.
Ja, ich will auch für die anderen leiden, damit die nicht in die Hölle kommen und so. Aber dass das dann so schlimm ist und so grausam und so furchtbar, nee.
Ihr Klötze! Nein, ihr Klötze! Und der Maul, ihr Klötze! Oh, und der Hanne will auch nicht. Oh, ich hab dein Maul erschlagen!
Whoa, bro. Oh. Dude, fucking chills, man.
Ruhe gibt's nur da oben!
Ruhe gibt's nur dort, wo die Liebe ist.
I got fucking chills, bro. This is so. Oh. They all do sound slightly different too.
Die müssen in eigenen Seminaren ausgebildet werden, die dürfen nicht auf die anderen Universitäten. Kapiert? Nein, nein,
Geboren hier auszufahren und nicht.
Initially, the exorcisms seemed to make things better for Anneliese. She got to a place where the seizures and convulsions and trance-like states and odd behavior were so few and far between that she actually re-enrolled in university and was even able to attend church. But it didn't last.
No.
In the spring of 1976, Anneliese's convulsions and seizures and odd behavior came back tenfold, and she began becoming violent with her family members to where they couldn't even be around her without being attacked by her. But when she was left on her own, she would harm herself. She stopped eating, saying that the demons were not allowing her to eat, and all day long she would stand up and then drop to her knees to pray, and then get back up and drop to her knees to pray, breaking both her kneecaps and tearing the tendons in her knees, which seemingly did not faze her. But still, her family believed that what she needed was religious intervention, not medical intervention. Also, Anneliese felt the same way, but some might say that she was not in a position to make that decision, that she lost her ability
she lost her
to
fucking
make
mind.
that decision. But
It's
either
been
way,
controlled.
they continued with the exorcism.
Like, her mind is split 6 ways. She don't need to make a damn decision for herself right now.
The final exorcism of Anneliese took place on June 30th, 1976. And while Anneliese did submit willingly to this exorcism, she was incredibly frail. She weighed under 100 pounds. And by the following morning, on July 1st, 1976, she had passed away due to dehydration and malnutrition. She was only 23 years old. After her death, Anneliese's story was so sensational that it grabbed headlines all over Germany, and people were clamoring to learn more about how this could happen. That she was, apparently possessed and then died after all these exorcisms. Why wasn't there medical intervention? There was so many questions. And so ultimately what happened is her parents were charged with negligent homicide.
Yeah, so I did remember the movie, right? Yeah.
But were actually not given a jail sentence because at the time in Germany, they ruled that the parents had already suffered enough, so they did not serve any jail time. And there were 2 priests, one of them being Renz, who were charged with negligent manslaughter, and they were sentenced to 6 months in jail. That was later suspended. To this day, people are absolutely split down the middle about what actually happened to Anneliese Michel. Was it possession, or was it, like the neurologist said, a form of epilepsy, or was it something else? And furthermore, was psychiatric treatment or was modern medicine doing enough to help her?
No.
Or were they failing just as much as the exorcisms ultimately failed? It's a question that to this day people are really unsure how to answer. Her gravesite has become sort of like a monument for many churches around Europe. They will go and basically make the pilgrimage to her gravesite to pay their respects to a girl that they believe in some way died for their sins. So what do you think this was? Was this demonic possession, or was this epilepsy? Or was it something else? And how do you think they should have treated this case? I mean, obviously the medication she was on was not making it any better, but at the same time, the exorcisms didn't seem to do much better either. So how do you treat something like this? Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll do my best to respond to as many as I possibly can. All right,
I think no matter what would have happened, the outcome would have been the same. We can help people so much more now. We have so much more medicines. We have so much more ability to help mental disorders now than what we did at this time. Maybe the medicine that she needed just wasn't around or invented at the time to where it could have helped her. But I'm also not putting out the realm of possibilities that it could have been something otherworldly. I'm not saying, it was aliens or demons or spiritual intervention by any means, but I'm not going to say it wasn't. I believe whatever anyone believes strong enough is what it is, but I just don't know. It could have been as easy as it was a mental disorder. And like I said, we have so many medicines now that it could be just, here, take this twice daily and you will never have to worry about it again. We just didn't have that then. So I don't know. It's all fucked. Okay. That's all I know. All right. I really enjoyed today's video. If y'all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. While you're down there, go on over, hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Bill 5000 Nation. We do some crazy shit here, bruh. That's why you also want to turn on that notification bell. Because, like I said, you want to know when that crazy shit's happening, bruh. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Man. I know what would have kept her safe. Some Bill 5000 merch. It keeps everyone safe.